That morning, I stared at my phone, Kate's words ringing in my ears. The house, our childhood home, was gone, sold without my knowledge or consent. I could still picture it, the yellow two-story Victorian with its wraparound porch. The garden Mom had nurtured for decades. The tire swing Dad hung from the old oak tree. All of it vanished in a single transaction, one I hadn't even known was happening. Kate, I said, my voice trembling, what you did is illegal. You can't sell property that's partially mine without my signature. She let out a sharp laugh. Actually, I can. Remember those papers you signed during the funeral? The ones for estate administration. A chill crept through me. 3 months ago, when we buried Mom and Dad, both gone within weeks of each other, Mom from cancer and Dad from what the doctors called a broken heart, I'd flown home for the first time in 5 years. Kate had managed everything, the funeral, the paperwork. Between viewings and burial, she thrust a stack of documents at me, saying they needed signatures immediately. Those were power of attorney documents, she said, smugness dripping from her tone. You gave me full control over the estate, totally legal. The weight of betrayal pressed down on me. I sank into my office chair, grateful for the solitude of my small accounting firm. You tricked me, I whispered, while we were burying our parents. Oh, spare me the theatrics, Kate snapped. You gave up your right to an opinion when you abandoned us. 5 years, Sarah. 5 years while I stayed here and took care of everything. Where were you? Off living your best life in Chicago, too busy to even visit for Christmas. Her words stung because they weren't entirely wrong. I'd left desperate to escape the endless comparisons to my perfect older sister. Kate had always been the golden child. Class president, cheerleader, the one who married her high school sweetheart and never left town. I was the rebel, the one who dared to want something different. I sent money, I said defensively. I offered to help hire a nurse. Money isn't the same as being here. Kate cut me off. You didn't see what I went through, watching Mom waste away while running my business, helping Dad with his meds when he didn't even know my name some days. No, Sarah, you don't get to judge. I closed my eyes, flashes of memory surfacing. Mom healthy and happy, planting roses in the garden. Dad in his workshop, the scent of sawdust filling the air. And the guilt, the relief I'd felt every time I hung up after another tense call about visiting. How much? I asked finally. How much did you sell it for? $450,000, she said. The market's insane right now. The buyers paid cash. The number hit me like a punch. Our parents had bought that house for $85,000, pouring their dreams into it for 3 decades, and Kate had sold it like it was nothing. Half of that is mine, I said firmly. Power of attorney doesn't entitle you to everything. This is inheritance fraud. Her laugh was sharper this time, but there was a flicker of unease beneath it. Good luck proving that, she said. And anyway, the money's gone. Gone? I nearly shouted. You spent $450,000 in a week. Well, she began, her voice softening to a wheedling tone. James and I are finally having our dream wedding. I've already put down deposits on the venue, flowers, the dress. It's going to be perfect. I blinked, certain I'd misheard. You spent our inheritance, our parents' legacy, on a wedding? Not just the wedding, she added quickly. We're also putting in a pool and buying James the boat he's always wanted. He deserves it after everything he's been through these last few years. My anger crystallized into something colder. Everything he's been through, supporting his wife while she cared for her dying parents, that's what you call hardship. Don't you dare judge me, she snapped. And anyway, that's not why I called. The thing is, some of the bigger payments are coming due, and I'm a little short. I was hoping. I waited, incredulous. I was hoping you could help out, she finished. Just a loan. $30,000 should cover it. A laugh burst out of me, bitter and humorless. Let me get this straight. You sold the house behind my back, blew my half of the money on a wedding and a boat, and now you want me to bail you out. It's what Mom and Dad would have wanted, she said, her voice adopting a familiar, sanctimonious edge. Family helps family. Family doesn't steal from family, I shot back. The answer is no. Not just no, hell no. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. Your lawyer? Her confidence faltered. Sarah, come on. Don't be like this. We're sisters. No, I said quietly. Sisters don't do what you did. Goodbye, Kate. I hung up before she could respond, my hands trembling as I pulled up my browser to search for estate lawyers. A memory surfaced. Mom's voice, weak but resolute, during one of our last calls. "I know why you left, sweetheart," she'd said. "I understand. Just remember, truth always comes out in the end." Looking at Kate's messages, pinging one after the other, alternating between threats and pleas, I realized Mom had been right. The truth was out. It just hurt more than I'd expected. Opening my email, I began typing. "Dear Mr. Roberts, I'm writing regarding a case of inheritance fraud." This time, I wasn't running away. 2 weeks after uncovering Kate's betrayal, I found myself back in Cedar Grove for the first time since the funeral. The familiar streets felt strange, as if the memories had been rearranged in my absence. Driving past what had once been our home, I saw strangers' cars in the driveway and new curtains in the windows. The sight turned my stomach. I parked at the Riverside Inn, the town's only decent hotel, where I had booked a room for my meeting with Daniel Matthews, my lawyer. Daniel had flown in from Chicago at my request, aware that the small-town politics here might muddy the waters. Kate's husband, James, was part of one of Cedar Grove's most influential families. I needed someone impartial and unshakable. As I checked in, the desk clerk, Mary, lit up with recognition. "Sarah Mitchell. It's been ages. So sorry about your parents." And Kate, how the whole town's buzzing about her big wedding plans. Of course they were. I forced a polite smile, collected my room key, and retreated upstairs before the conversation could sting any further. Later that evening, my phone rang. The caller ID displayed a number I didn't recognize. "Hello?" "Sarah, it's Linda Thompson, from next door to your parents' house." Linda. She had been our parents' neighbor for decades, a steady presence in their lives when I hadn't been. "I saw you drive by today," she continued. "I wasn't sure whether to call, but after what Kate did, your mother would have wanted you to know. Can we meet?" Curiosity and dread warred within me, but 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from Linda in the hotel restaurant. She looked older than I remembered, her hands fidgeting with a napkin. "I've been holding onto this since your mom passed," she said, pulling out her phone. "She asked me to record something 3 days before she died. She was too weak to write, but said it was important." Linda hit play, and my mother's voice filled the space between us, weak but resolute. "Linda, I need you to witness this. Kate, the house belongs to both my girls equally. Sarah must agree to any decisions about it. Promise me, Kate. Do right by your sister." Kate's tearful response followed. "I promise, Mom. I swear." I stared at Linda, my mind racing. She knew what Kate was planning. I whispered. "There's more," Linda said, her tone grave. "The night your father passed, Kate brought him papers to sign. He was so medicated he could barely hold a pen. I saw her guiding his hand. The implication hit me like a slap. She had him sign over the house while he was dying." Linda nodded, guilt etched into her expression. I should have said something sooner. Then last week, I overheard Kate and James laughing in their backyard about how easy it was to trick you. My hands trembled as I called Daniel. "We need to add witness testimony and pursue criminal charges," I said. "This isn't just fraud, it's exploitation." The next morning, I walked into the law office where mediation had been arranged. Kate was already there, her hair and makeup immaculate, James at her side. Her confidence faltered when Linda walked in behind me. "What's she doing here?" Kate demanded. "Providing evidence," Daniel said calmly, setting a recorder on the table. He played the audio of Mom's final wishes. Kate's face drained of color, and James turned to her, his expression darkening. "You told me Sarah agreed to everything," he said, his voice low. "You said she signed off on selling the house." Kate stammered, panic creeping into her tone. "I did what was best for us. For the family." James stood abruptly. "If you involve me in fraud, Kate." His unfinished threat hung in the air as he stormed out of the room. Kate turned to me, desperation replacing her usual smugness. "Sarah, please. You don't understand. The vendors are expecting payments. The wedding's already announced. James's family." "Should have thought of that before you lied and stole," I cut in. "My lawyer has a settlement offer. Void the sale, surrender your share of the proceeds, and pay damages. Otherwise, we proceed with criminal charges." Tears welled in Kate's eyes. "Criminal charges? But I'm your sister." "Yes," I said quietly, You are. And that's what makes this betrayal unforgivable. I stood gathering my things. You have until tomorrow to decide. Oh, and you might want to start canceling those vendors. Something tells me James's family won't be footing the bill. As I walked out, I heard Kate's sobs echo behind me. A part of me wanted to turn back to console the sister I'd once idolized, but that part was drowned out by the years of hurt and her recent betrayal. Later, Linda texted, "Your mom would be proud. You did the right thing." I looked out the hotel window at the town I used to call home. Justice was finally within reach, but the cost of the truth weighed heavily on me. 6 months flew by in a whirlwind of legal battles, sleepless nights, and a constant undercurrent of exhaustion. But in the end, the settlement was finalized. Kate had been forced to void the fraudulent house sale, repay every stolen cent, and cover punitive damages. The numbers were staggering. $450,000 from the house sale and another $200,000 in damages. To pay it all, she sold her own home. Last I heard, she was living with a cousin in Milwaukee. Her engagement to James shattered after his family uncovered her lies. I sat in my Chicago apartment, staring at the final statement from my lawyer. The weight I'd been carrying for months felt lighter, though not entirely gone. Just as I set the papers aside, my phone buzzed with a call. Linda Thompson. "The new owners of the house want to meet you," she said. "They've been fixing it up, and I think you should see what they've done." That's how I found myself back in Cedar Grove, standing on the porch of my childhood home. The door opened to reveal a warm, smiling couple, David and Maria Chen, with 2 children peeking shyly from behind them. "Please come in," Maria said, her voice kind and welcoming. Stepping inside was surreal. The walls were painted a fresh color, and the rooms had been modernized, yet the spirit of the home remained. The bay window in the kitchen, where Mom had grown her herbs, still framed the light. Dad's old workshop had been transformed into a playroom, but his workbench had been restored and preserved in one corner. "We found this during renovations," David said, handing me an old dusty photo album. "We thought it should go back to you." I opened it carefully, tears pricking my eyes as I flipped through photos I'd never seen. Mom and Dad when they were young, Kate and me as kids, family vacations, and quiet, everyday moments. The weight of everything that had been lost settled over me. But this time, it felt less like a burden and more like a bittersweet reminder. "This house has such a beautiful energy," Maria said softly. "We can feel how much love it's held over the years. You're always welcome to visit." That night, back at Linda's house, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Kate. "I heard you're in town. Can we talk?" The next morning, I met her at the coffee shop on Main Street. I barely recognized her. Gone were the designer outfits and polished facade. She looked tired, worn down, and painfully human. "I'm sorry," she said the moment I sat down. "I know it doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it." I studied her carefully. She seemed different, less angry, less defensive. "Why did you do it?" I asked. She looked down, her hands twisting a paper napkin. "I was angry. At you for leaving, at Mom and Dad for needing so much, at James for pushing me into a wedding I didn't even want. But mostly, I was angry at myself. I gave up my dreams to stay here, and instead of owning that, I blamed everyone else." "You could have asked for help," I said quietly. "I know." She wiped her eyes. "I'm in therapy now, trying to understand why I became that person. Why I hurt the people I love most." For the first time in years, we talked, really talked. About Mom and Dad, about grief and guilt, about all the unspoken expectations that had crushed us in different ways. When I told her about the photo album, she smiled faintly. "Do you remember the splash pool Dad made us that summer?" I asked. Her smile grew. "You wore rain boots the whole time. And you kept cannonballing until Mom dragged us inside for dinner." For a fleeting moment, we weren't two estranged sisters. We were just Sarah and Kate again, laughing over shared memories. "I know I can't fix this," she said as we left. "But if there's ever a way to make amends, I'll try." A few weeks later, I used the settlement money to establish the Mitchell Family Foundation, a program to support families caring for aging parents. The first grant went to hiring full-time caregivers for 3 local families. When Kate heard, she called me. "Mom and Dad would have been proud," she said softly. "There's a spot on the board if you want it," I offered. "Your experience could help others avoid what we went through." There was a long pause before she replied. I'd like that. Thank you. The next weekend, I visited the Chens again. Their children were laughing in the backyard, their joy echoing across the lawn where Kate and I had once played. Maria was tending to Mom's rose garden, now more vibrant than ever. David joined me on the porch. We're thinking of building a splash pool for the kids this summer. Something simple but fun. I smiled, remembering the old photo of two little girls splashing in their makeshift pool. They'll love it, I said. Trust me. As I drove away, I realized something important. Losing everything hadn't been the end of my story, it had been the beginning of something better. Sometimes the truth doesn't just set you free, it helps you build a new kind of home.